Welcome to the Observeday podcast, the show where we celebrate the days that matter. From holidays to meaningful observances, we bring you inspiring conversations, stories, and ideas to make each day count. Whether it's raising awareness, learning something new, or simply sparking joy, this is your space to explore the calendar in a whole new way. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I'm excited to share today's observance with you. Let's dive in. Welcome to Observe the podcast. Today's guest is a powerhouse of resilience and wisdom. Rose Davidson, a podcast coach, mentor, and host of over 650 expert interviews. She's the creator of the OPAL system and Shine Formula, two frameworks that have helped countless entrepreneurs turn their stories into strategies, their voices into brands, and their experiences into impact. Rose's journey is one of strength and transformation, a resilient survival of domestic and family violence. She turned her pain into purpose by co-founding Healing Through Love, an initiative that provides hope, dignity, and support to survivors through community events and a Healing Through Love podcast. From launching one of Australia's top-ranked podcasts, Talking with the Experts, to mentoring entrepreneurs across the world, Rose has built a career rooted in authenticity, healing, and empowerment. Her story is proof that our voices, once freed, can change not just our lives, but the lives of others. Welcome to the podcast, Rose.
Well, thank you, Wisdom. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah. Rose, before you became a podcast coach and mentor, what personal experiences shaped your belief in the power of storytelling?
I pretty much grew up in the corporate world, so as an adult, and I decided to go into podcasting just after the lockdowns here in Australia. I could see that a lot of business owners were a bit challenged with keeping their businesses open, and I had a few Facebook business friends, so I thought, why don't get them together and I decided to start the podcast, and it's just grown from there. Other than that, Healing Through Love was a project from a friend of mine, and she wanted to hold a pamper day for domestic violence survivors. And so we started from there, and it's just grown where it's now an international concern. We've got people in other areas of the world who are holding free pamper days for domestic and family violence survivors.
Yeah. You've described yourself as a resilient survivor. How did your journey through those challenges lead you to find strength in your voice?
I have grown up, like, since I left home at 14 in various situations where I found myself not being heard, not being listened to. And my marriage of 34 years collapsed. So during all that time, I realised that I could help others have their voice heard, because it's important that people share their knowledge, share their wisdom, and share the pains that made them who they are. So through the Healing Through Love podcast, I've been able to do that. And through talking with the experts, it allows business owners to share their wisdom and their voices. And through my podcasting courses, it allows business owners to do the same. Use their voices, use their knowledge, and share it with the world.
You've hosted more than 650 interviews. What did those conversations teach you about connection, confidence, and purpose?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. I think when I first started podcasting, I didn't have any confidence at all, and I still don't have confidence when it comes to standing on a stage or recording myself for other purposes. But I find it really easy to speak with guests, because the podcast is really very organic, and we do discuss the topic at hand. However, it's just a coffee chat, and I like that type of format where we can just be friends for 30 minutes and just share what we know and just have a conversation. And I love that format. It's it allows for wisdom sharing, and we both get our no pun intended, I'm sorry, it's wisdom sharing, and allows us to share ideas.
Yeah, I think the next thing we'll probably do would be to book you on a speaking tour all over the world.
Yeah, well, that was my goal some years ago, but now I've given that away. I think I'm more confident behind the microphone than I am in front.
Okay. Uh, uh, yeah. You've spoken to 650 interviews. You've learned from them. You've shared the um uh ideas with them. When did you first realizing that podcasting could become not just a tool for business, but also for healing and transformation? Or was it more like healing and transformation and then for business? Which came first?
Yeah, I think the healing and transformation came first. Healing through love came uh, well before talking with the experts was even an idea. And so we sort of held the paper day events, and where business owners come together and they share like their resources, and they give survivors massages and cut their hair and style their hair and give them makeup and beauty tips, and can have their tarot read or their chakras read or whatever. And so just give survivors, one day to feel that they belong somewhere and that someone really actually cares about them, because being a survivor, can be really challenging, and you quite often feel alone, and that you don't have anyone that you can talk to or go to. So that started, and then podcasting came along, and I don't know. I love my podcast. I'm taking a break at the moment because I'm a little bit burnt out, after 650 episodes. And because I'm an indie podcaster, I do everything behind the scenes as well. So that has been a little bit challenging for me this year with all the emotional upset that's gone on in my life for this year. So I thought, to do myself a favour, I would take a break and just redefine what I'm going to do next year.
I'm curious how did talking with the experts evolve from an idea into an award-winning show? Like how did the idea come about?
It was like any of my ideas; they just come out of the blue. I don't, I don't plan. The name just sort of came out when I was talking to my very first podcast guest. I didn't really have a name for it, and so he said, "Well, you're talking with experts, so that's a perfect name." So
Yeah.
that's just stuck. It's like I've just created 2 new projects in the last week, and so my brain just doesn't stop. Sometimes it's full of ideas, and I just jump in and do them, and then work out the details later. Much like the podcast, I had no idea what I was doing when I started. It was just, sit in front of my laptop and get started and interview all these people and then buy the equipment as I went along. And so it was just a spur of the moment sort of thing, really. I didn't really have a plan, as with most things that I do.
When was this exactly? Like what time um was this when this idea and all this was happening? What year was it?
Yeah, July 2020 is when I first started the podcast, on the 13th, actually. I don't know, that date just sticks in my brain. That was my very first interview. And I think for the first few months, I was doing 4 interviews a day, 5 days a week. So I was doing quite a few interviews. It was really tiring, but it was exciting at the same time because I was creating something, and I am a creative, so I love to do stuff. That I think that's why these 2 projects that I've got going at the moment is got me so energized.
Yeah. There's while I was reading the intro, I mentioned 2 frameworks. Could you tell us about the OPAL system?
The OPAL system is a learning, a learning foundation for learning how to podcast. And so OPAL stands for O for organisation, P for produce, A for arrange, and L for launch. So using the framework of that, people can, start their podcasts with the organise. So it's a step-by-step process, basically, where you get taken to from having an idea to launching your podcast. And it takes, I don't know, for the online program, it's about 30 days because, you don't want to cram everything in, and you've got homework to do and, things to create. So 30 days really is a good timeline.
Okay. Okay. I'm curious. How's organized different from arrange?
Organisers where you're getting together, you learn all your legal obligations for having a podcast so that you're not infringing anyone's copyright or and you're following a legal uh, framework. And it's just getting all the bits and pieces together before you go into the produce stage, which is the part of the editing, and you get your guests together and you finalize all your forms and do all that sort of stuff. And arranging is the editing part as well, and it leads into the launch. So it's sort of the second last stage before you actually launch your podcast and look at monetizing and sponsoring and so forth.
Oh, okay. Um, there is another uh, concept you talk about. It's Before we dive deeper, I'd love to invite you to join the Observeday newsletter. Every week, I send you highlights of upcoming observances, creative ways to celebrate, and behind the scenes extras from the shows. It's the perfect way to stay inspired and never miss a meaningful moment. Sign up today at observeday.com/join. That is observeday.com/join. Now, let's get back to the conversation. The Shine Formula. What inspired the Shine Formula?
The Shine formula is for speakers, basically, and for podcast guests, because a lot of people are guesting, but they're not. Well, I don't want to be mean about it, but they're not doing themselves a favour by guesting. They don't answer questions properly, and they don't follow the format of the host and all sorts of other things. And so it starts with S, so that's stories that stick. So the story is the bridge, and this is where they can share real experiences drawn from their lived experience. And then H is hooks that capture. So this is this leading with curiosity, emotion, and their bold insights that makes the listener want to actually lean into what they got to say. I is insights that illuminate. So that's where they offer practical wisdom. N is for natural flow and energy. So this is where you learn how to be yourself and don't force anything and be authentic. And E is for engagement and connection. So this is where you speak with the people and you don't speak at them. So you share the stage with them, and so that they are on the same emotional plane as you.
Yeah, I feel like even though you said that the formula is for podcast guests and speakers, it will come really handful for those podcasters that are doing solo episodes, don't you think?
Well, it could be too, yes. I suppose I didn't frame it for them, but yes, it would be really great for podcast hosts as well, because, I have been on a couple of podcasts where the host was less than authentic, put it that way.
I see that you've chosen to be politically correct.
Well, yes.
Okay, that's good. You often say podcasting should be about authenticity, as you just said, not vanity metrics. What does authentic podcast growth look like to you?
I think it's just making the guest feel really relaxed, and having a bit of a chit chat before you start recording, because you want to make them. I mean, for video ones, because this is an audio one, so it's a little bit different. But for video ones, it's helpful if you build rapport with the guest. I think that's really, really important. Be yourself. I think as a host, don't try and be like someone else. Just be who you are. The ums and ahs, well, if that's the way you speak, that's the way you speak. And, don't try and edit everything out, because then it's not really you. And yes, I'm really aware of just being myself. And if I'm a bit goofy, well, I'm a bit goofy, but it happens, and it sometimes helps and sometimes doesn't. It makes the guests feel relaxed if you can do something a bit silly sometimes.
Yeah, it's strange because most of the times, certain things that we would not do when we're talking to our friends. When it comes to a podcast, we try to sound differently. Like we have friends, we talk to them, and they don't get bored. I think most people, I would assume that most people, when they talk to their friends don't get bored. But that's the way we talk. And then when it comes to our own podcast, we try to like, pattern it in a different way. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't agree that you should be somebody else. I agree. I think you should just be who you are, and that will shine through. I speak to my guests like they're my friends, because I
Yeah.
think, well, don't put on anything that isn't you. You wouldn't go on a stage and be somebody else, because people will see through that and they'll see that it's
Yeah.
false, and it to me it's pointless to try and be anything else but authentic and be yourself.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest struggle many aspiring podcasters face is the imposter syndrome. They feel like their story isn't big enough. What would you say to them?
Imposter syndrome. Even I get imposter syndrome, don't you worry. It's a lifelong battle for most of us. I think it's the vanity metrics. People think, that they should be getting 10,000 downloads in their very first episode. That is never going to happen unless you are someone like Gary Vee or Stephen Bartlett or Mel Robbins or any of those types of people, because they've got a huge following. But if you're just starting out and you don't have a huge audience, it can take years to get to where you get those 10,000 downloads. Don't be discouraged, because honestly, the right people will listen to your podcast and they will become raving fans well after you've posted your first episode. So
Yeah.
just vanity metrics. I don't believe in them. I think sometimes I do get a bit carried away, and sometimes I do get a bit down because I don't think that people are watching or listening. But in actual fact, they are. It just doesn't show up. Like if people, let me put it this way: don't count your downloads, because just because someone's downloaded your audio or your video doesn't mean they're going to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's like plays. You look at the plays on YouTube. Someone may have watched it for like 3 or 4 seconds and didn't like it. But you're still counted because they've watched for that 3 or 4 seconds. So
Wow.
really the statistics that you're looking at, the analytics that you look at, really aren't a true reflection of how successful you are.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Thank you for reminding us that it's okay to feel like an imposter. It's okay to feel like you don't know what you're doing, or do it nevertheless. And
Just keep going. Just keep going, wisdom. I mean, don't give up. I mean, most podcasters give up before their 10th episode, and because they find it too hard or the analytics aren't there or whatever. And I think, to me, that's just the wrong way to look at it. If you enjoy doing it, you enjoy sharing your wisdom, you enjoy the whole process, then keep going. The numbers really mean nothing, and you shouldn't rely on those numbers to keep you satisfied.
yeah, as someone who is a podcaster and a business owner, an entrepreneur, what's one lesson every entrepreneur should learn before starting a podcast, right?
What they should learn. Well, I think that's a bit of a toughie. I think I
Should I repeat?
think I think they should learn self-tolerance. I think if you make a mistake, don't think you're the worst person in the world, because they're all learning and educational parts of being a podcaster or being a business owner. If you fall down, just get back up on, and stand up and just keep trying. Really, just be consistent, be persistent, and just stay dedicated to the craft, because it really is quite rewarding. I mean, I started off with guests that I invited, and now I've got podcast agencies chasing me to put their clients on my podcast. So really, I don't know how that's happened or why it's happened, but someone searched me and they've shared my name around, and now I've got people, begging to come on. And I think, well, wow, to me, that is like the cream on the top of the cake. I think that's the best thing, better than the numbers.
And for business owners who like, I want to start a podcast, how can podcasting help business owners beyond marketing and actually create impact and community?
Well, I guess for me, it's about getting your brand out there. Brand awareness is really important. And if you've got a product or a service that you are really, wanting to sell, your podcast is the perfect place for it. people will, if they listen to your podcast, will see that you've got a product or service that you want to sell and you're promoting it, but authentically. Don't, spam people. Don't go on and on and on about it. Do it strategically, and people will come and buy from you. I think if you start a podcast, share your wisdom, that's brand awareness, and people will love and like you and trust you and come back and buy whatever it is you're selling.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you so much for that advice, Rose. I did prepare a lightning round, sets of quick fire questions. You ready?
Yep.
What's one interview that changed the way you see podcasting forever?
What's one interview? Oh, wow, I've had so many. I think in the beginning, I wasn't asking the right questions. And
Oh,
someone actually did say to me, and he was a well-known global speaker, that I didn't ask about his background. And I thought, well, he was well known enough that I didn't need to ask him about his background, but he was a bit offended that I hadn't asked him. And so he didn't share the episode.
oh,
But which was to me disappointing, but it was a good learning curve for me that now I ask everyone not to go into detail about their background, but how they started or why they started in the beginning, so that I guess the audience, can get to know the guest a little bit better. So that was a big learning curve for me, is to remember to ask the question.
yeah. Oh. What's a quote or mantra that has carried you through difficult times?
No, I don't really have one. But I think if I was going to say something, I'd say don't wait for the opportunity, create it. For
Wow,
me,
that's a quote. That's a
that
mantra.
means
You just said it. Take it.
yeah, well, I've come up with that a few years ago, and I thought, yeah, that was a really great one because I don't, as I said, I don't usually wait. I come up with an idea, plan it. I don't even plan it. I just work out the details as I go along. Sometimes they win, and sometimes they lose. It's just that how it works.
Yeah. What's one misconception about podcasting you wish would disappear?
That it costs a lot of money. It does not cost money. All you need is a phone. You can do podcasting on your phone, your laptop, your PC. You don't need whiz-bang equipment. You don't need whiz-bang cameras. You just need to start. It's not hard. And to me, people that go out and buy this really expensive equipment and line their rooms with soundproofing material, I think are crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Rose is completely right because right now I'm recording my own interview with just my mobile phone, no mic, nothing, and pretty much that's it. And in a quiet room, that's all. So
Yep,
she's
that's all you need.
absolutely right.
No, it absolutely, I don't know, but all these people that I've been watching on LinkedIn, all these podcast teachers and things are saying that you need to buy this and you need to buy that, and you just do not need to buy any of that stuff. It's just, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Makes
Well,
me really cross when they promote that sort of thinking.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. What's your go-to advice for staying consistent and avoiding Podfade?
Oh, Podfade, yes, that's where I'm at the moment, Podfade. And I did
And
write an
when would you
ebook
be to
about how to not have
yeah,
Podfade too.
yeah, okay.
But I think, I think is to pace yourself. Don't do more than you can possibly achieve. I mean, I was doing 6 interviews recently, 6 interviews a week. It's just too much. By the time you have to edit and everything, and I'm so far behind in my editing, it's not funny because you think, do I have to do this again today? You realise that you're just tired. And as I said, with this year, the way it's been for me, editing's just an extra challenge on my brain, and so yeah, I've found it really quite difficult. That's why I'm taking a break, because I can catch up and give my brain a bit of a rest. But I think to stay consistent, I think you just don't do more than you can handle. To pace yourself, and don't think you have to do it all at once. I mean, if you do your podcast, they edits can wait till next week. You don't
Oh,
need to do them straight away.
yeah. Well, and the last question is if you could give one message to every aspiring podcaster listening right now, what would it be?
Oh, keep going. Don't give up. Don't rely on the vanity metrics. Be yourself. Have fun, I think is the main thing, is just enjoy the process, and you just don't give up. Don't be disheartened when you don't see the numbers rising up, because to me, I think if you enjoy what you're doing, people will find you, and and just put it out there to the there's plenty of Facebook groups where you can post your videos and your audios. So, go and find them and post in there, and, get your website. Make sure that your podcast has a website. I think that's really important too, because that people can find you and they can listen to your episodes without having to go to Apple or Spotify or any of those others.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Rose. Where can listeners learn more about the work you do and also connect with you?
If they want to find out about my podcast course, which is called Master the Art of Podcasting, you can go to rosedavidson.com.au. And if you want to find my podcast, you can find it at talkingwiththeexpert.com.
Well, thank you so much, Rose. You've been so kind and generous with some of the podcasting wisdom. No pun intended. More like pun intended. Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Wisdom. Thank you so much for having me today.
I would add all the links Rose mentioned in the description and in the show notes. So, listeners, you can just easily click and go directly to the sites mentioned. Thank you once again, Rose.
Thank you, Wisdom.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode of the Observeday podcast. Thank you for spending your time with us as we explore today's observance. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend who'd love to celebrate life's special days too. Don't forget to join the newsletter at observeday.com/join for more observance stories, tips, and updates. Until next time, keep finding meaning in every day.